Miles in and 50 miles out every day, day after day. Our first child was born right then, in that period. Our second child started coming another couple of years later. So there was family, there was considerations, in terms of a relationship. Charmaine was the best person on the planet for me to be with. I'm not going to tell you that always worked out. When we didn't go home until the next morning after an exhibition, we watched the sun come up in the parking lot after a show that we had done the night before. It actually got psychologically harder and harder and harder to do. There also was no budget. The University of Houston had a very powerful reluctance about us soliciting. We would want to go ask somebody for 5 barrels of flat black paint, and they would say literally, no, we're going to ask them for $5 million to help us remove something or other, and the development officer would not want me interfering with that. It's the nature of development officers. It's the way they think and work. My response finally was, okay, I just won't tell you what I'm doing. And I did. I quit telling them. I just absolutely quit telling them what I was doing. They found out about everything then from that point on after the fact. I said, if you will put us in your long-term vision, then we'll do it your way. But if we're not in your long-term vision, then what's the point? I mean, why should we, cater to something to, quote, the big institution needs when we're not really getting help from you? Now, I want to clarify that. I want to make it very clear. George Bunker, the chairman, knew I was doing that, and he would really just kind of look the other way most of the time. George Bunker is one of the sweetest men on the planet. I truly loved that guy, and I respected that guy, and he was an enormous help to me. And a lot of times he was just help to me when he found out I was going to do something. He would say, "Oh my God, James, just don't let them know who it's doing." And it became kind of a mode of operation, a way of doing something. And I could give you a lot of examples for that, and I'm sure everyone in this room has heard the best one about when Black Flag played out there. First of all, there was a guy who taught over at Texas Southern, a guy named Lanny Steele, who was a music promoter. He is the one that would get a hold of these groups like Sun Ra and Sonny Rollins. And man, I'm telling you, I've never heard that kind of guy from music. The best jazz ever. We would have a jazz group play in the big room, and we would have 3 shows in the little room, and the crowds would mix and mingle, and it would be a whole different strata of the community that were all kind of mingling and co-mingling in there together. But when Black Flag played, I had no idea who they were. I had never heard the term garage band, and the idea that some garage band from Los Angeles was going to come play in there, I was expecting, nice South Texas oompa band or something. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't what we got. They really did tear the place up. It really did cause somewhat of a riot. They really did throw beer bottles against the wall and bust them. There really were fist fights. The cops really did come out. They came out more than once, but that night they came out in force. And it kind of dispersed and broke up, and everybody left. Well, the next day, I got a call from George Bunker saying, "Oh man, the provost is pissed. He read about it in the paper. Riot at Lawndale." Well, it was bad. Maybe it would have been bad if it were at Jones Hall, but at Lawndale, I don't really know what difference it made. It really didn't hurt anything. There was no way you could hurt the place. And we had a rule that was not adhered to 100%, but it certainly was adhered to in the 90th percentile, and that is after everything we cleaned up. We clean up the place. We would mop, we would sweep everything out, we would pick it up, put it in the trash, and mop the floor, and within a matter of 2 or 3 hours, hey, we were ready to go again. In that case, after the Black Flag incident, the next day, the brownies from the local community were getting their merit badges. And I want to make this short, but have you ever seen, like a couple of hundred Hispanic parents who are dressed to the teeth? All their little girls had on black patent leather shoes or white patent leather shoes. They had on pinafores. They were beautiful. They were just, the dads had on ostrich skin boots and suits that would glow in the dark. It was a proud family moment, under a family cultural situation. They were in there to honor these little girls. And they were, just as the entourage from the University of Houston come tearing through the front door to eat me alive. And they stopped in their tracks, and to make a long story short, after about 20 minutes of just witnessing what was going on right there at that moment, at that time, they just left. That's a big deal. Because it showed this kind of incredible, diverse nature, of what did go on. And